So this is the hinge template now. So if you remember, we cut this board here and it was 2200 exactly. You can see that absolutely on the money. We have this bore machine here, Blum bore machine. Now there is stoppers here. You see them stoppers, they're 100 mil, 100 mil. Now that is for our doors and our doors only. Forget about that with the template. What we want to do is we want to measure up either end. I'll drop this camera down. So what we want to do is measure up 102 mil from either end. Well, it's 102 and a half, but half a mil won't hurt us. Okay? And we want to do the same down on this end here. So if we drop this down, I wonder if you can see this better, look at this. So we need to be on that line. There is a point on this bit, right in there. So if we go right down to that line, as far as we can, just so we're touching on that line. And see, if we press it down, we'll get a wee indent. So we're right on it there, waiting to move it. What we want to do is make sure it's pushed tight to the fence. Okay. Start her up. Now the good thing about this, it has stoppers, it's depth stoppers, so we will never ever bore through. And this is set up where it's absolutely, I like to call it idiot proof. With the stoppers and stuff like that. Not really with the templates, because again, we're not using the stoppers. So that's one side done there. If we go right to this end here and repeat the process. Just want to get her down. It's far easier to do when you're not holding the camera. So we're right on there. Make sure she's pushed up tight to the fence. And that is her template done. And again, as I said before, we don't want to do the middles on these templates. The reason being, as I said, it will all foul against one of our shelves. Only the middle hinge. The other two hinges will be perfectly fine, but trying to line that all up when you're holding the door can be a bit of a nightmare. It's far easier just to go on top and bottom and then throw your hinges in, and then you can screw into the gable like that. It is far handier, and it's I think 99% of fitters and people in my kitchens, this is how they do it, because this is what I was taught to do. Now for this time and this time only, I'm using a square. Usually I would get a straight edge, and if it was like a 720 door, which is relatively small compared to this, I would push a straight edge onto it, so then they were both even where they're meant to be. But you can do this as well. Okay, make sure she's coming square off the edge of the board. I hate these big long shanks. Beautiful. Now the last thing that we actually need to do is, if I have any, you need these bad boys. Oh, one's there. This makes your life a hell of a lot easier too. I like to screw a block on the top and the bottom. Oh, come on. See these long shanks, boys. Jesus. Someone's away with mine. So, see the block that you're not going to be using? Turn it to the side. Get it out of the road. So we use Blum hinges on everything. We don't use anything else. But we would if people wanted us to. For our standard, we use Blum. Comes with a lifetime warranty. So what more could you ask? It's the best ones on the market in my opinion. Some people might think Heritages are healthy, but hook her on to the top. Now, you can make these templates slightly better by putting about a 2 mil on the back edge of it, because that's realistically where the door is going to lie. See, for your hinge holes, from the front edge of the unit to the centre of the hinge hole, it should be 37 mil. We're sitting about 40 mil. So that's the whole idea of the 2 mil. There is slight adjustment in them, but me being the professional, I just eyeball. Take the process at the bottom. Again, look at your margin up. You're like, right, that looks good enough to me. So if you want to have a look at that there, you can see there is a gap there, and that's totally normal. That's the way it's meant to be, because if there isn't, you will hinge bound. But you see, there's a slight gap there, and a slight gap there where the hinge is at. That's what you want. These hinges can adjust in and out, back and forward, up and down, so they're great hinges. When it comes to actually clipping on the doors, I will screw them in, obviously. I'm not going to leave them loose. But it's as easy as that, rather than taking out your tape, trying to measure it, trying to remember. That's it, done. That unit to me is now finished, bar the door.